Good afternoon, everybody. If you like to listen, please take a seat. I hope that everybody had lunch already and got something to eat and is not too full and too tired after your sandwich or salad or whatever you had. I'm very happy to moderate the session today. My name is Florian Schanznig. I'm part of the Vienna Business Agency from the Startup Services. And we support international businesses to relocate in Vienna, but also support founders from Vienna to actually internationalize, but also work with existing businesses and do real estate. So from consulting, funding, and real estate, we support all throughout the business development of, of Viennese, but also international companies. And yeah, as I said, my name is Florian Schanznig. I'm 1 meter 75 centimeters tall. I have brown hair, still brown beard, and I'm wearing a black jacket today. Today in this panel, we discuss how to do innovative and inclusive business in Vienna. This is important because there are a lot of strategies of the city of Vienna that we will talk about later, and we also offer some services in this field. On the agenda, we will have some short introduction of the latest white paper or report that we do on inclusive businesses in Vienna and the ecosystem around it from my colleague Silvia Göttinger. Then we will hear from 3 Austrian or Viennese companies what they do in their innovative work, and then also from 2 organizations that support companies and the development of new technologies within Vienna and Austria, and also more about what we do from the Vienna Business Agency. And then we will go into a discussion on actually how this all works together, the companies and the organizations and citywide strategies as well. With this, I would like to invite my colleague Silvia Göttinger to present her report on inclusive technologies.
Thank you, Florian. I will change this for a moment. Okay. So where's the clicker? This one? Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, and this one. My name is Silvia. I'm an expert on assistive technologies and social innovation in the Vienna Business Agency. Usually I give advice to Viennese companies, but we also reach out to international companies and international startups. I want to give you an overview. We regularly publish reports on current technology topics to highlight the innovation ecosystem in Vienna. And these online reports like circular economy, innovative energy solutions, but many topics in the ICT field like data economy, artificial intelligence, and so on. These online reports provide a snapshot and a compact overview of the technological strengths of Viennese economy, and they offer guidance for companies, startups, interested parties, and promote networking and provide impetus for new collaboration. I will focus on the brand new report, Inclusion for Innovation in Vienna, published recently. For this report, we collaborated with experts from various disciplines to ensure both quality and relevance. Experts from the following organizations contributed significantly to this report, and these are all very important organizations, so if you are interested to get into contact with them, it can be interesting to find them here or anywhere else in Vienna at conferences. This was, for example, Ashoka Austria, Access Austria, Klaus Höckner is here today, the Office for Participation and Empowerment in the city of Vienna, the University of Applied Sciences, Technikum Wien, My Ability, a well-known company, but the representative of My Ability also represents the social entrepreneurship network in Austria. Also the Social Impact Award contributed, the Center for Social Entrepreneurship and Social Innovation at the Vienna University of Economics and Business, the media company Andererseits, as well as Holmes Consulting, Christina Holmes. And a small screenshot on this slide shows you the contents of the reports, but I will now go through it. The Austrian Social Enterprise Monitor 2023 and 2024 shows the power of the social innovation sector and which significant added value it generates. In 2025, social enterprises in Austria employed, the range is according to the definition, 34,000 to 93,000 full-time equivalents. People with physical disabilities, learning disabilities, and older people are key target groups of many of our social enterprises. About 44% of the social enterprises in Austria employ people with disabilities. About 50% of all Austrian social enterprises are based in Vienna, so here you find a real hub for social innovation. The research about this was done by Peter Wander of the University of Economics and Business in Vienna and his colleagues. I want to tell you a little bit more why inclusion matters in Vienna. I give you an overview of some relevant strategies, initiatives, and awards in and for Vienna. For example, the Vienna 2030 Economy and Innovation Strategy states clearly, I will give a quote, the economic and innovative efforts of enterprises, universities, research and administration are firmly focused on people. Vienna aims to be an inclusive and safe city where everybody can participate and share in social life. Progress must be shaped so as to ensure that people can make use of opportunities in a self-determined and self-confident manner, regardless of gender, social and ethnic background, age or sexual orientation. Vienna will combine technological, cultural and social innovations to attain this goal. Also in the field of accessibility, there was the initiative Inclusive Vienna 2030, a city for all. It is and was led by the Vienna Social Fund and aims to improve the inclusion and participation of people with disabilities in Vienna in the long term. Last year, Vienna was named the European Capital of Democracy. This title recognizes the city's commitment to social participation, and it is the result of years of efforts to actively involve citizens more broadly. Also, in 2025, Vienna was awarded the European Access City Award, partly due to its achievements in public transport, but I have confessed that there is still a lot to do in Vienna. Some key takeaways of the report. I guess most of you know that a quarter of the population across the EU lives with a disability, and the needs of these people and their purchasing power are often overlooked. So inclusion is not only a social issue, but also an economic issue. AI can break down barriers and create new opportunities, provided it is designed responsibly and without discrimination. Vienna is demonstrating that social innovation and technical progress can go hand in hand to create a city for everyone. And inclusion is a central guiding principle in Vienna. I want to present some selected Viennese flagship projects, which are included in the report. For example, the Zero Project, you know it quite well. And I want to say also thank you to the beautiful and fruitful cooperation we have with the Zero Project team. Zero Project organizes the Zero Project Conference here in Vienna, co-organizes several global conferences in our countries and continents. They support scaling solutions and give startups the possibility to pitch at the Technology Forum, for example, which took place on Tuesday. They also promote inclusive arts and inclusive employment. Access Austria, for example, Klaus, is a trusted partner in testing and piloting assistive technologies. They consult on barrier-free websites and issue the corresponding WACA certificate. They invest in companies and build partnerships. The company MyAbility is well known for the job platform for people with disabilities, and they provide training and consulting on accessibility issues. The company Equalisent offers training on various topics in sign language. They lead projects, for example, on health issues, and they designed a permanent exhibition that provides an insight into the world of deaf people. And one of the companies we will hear soon on the panel is, for example, the UK company HopeTech, which has opened a branch office here in Vienna some years ago and is conducting research for their product, the Sixth Sense, from Vienna. Now, a short glimpse into the ecosystem. I guess you cannot read all the things, but it's only to show you how this is included in the report. This slide shows screenshots of the report, which give an overview of the Viennese ecosystem in the field of inclusion and social innovation. And you find some categories like, for example, employment, education, but also the supporting networks and hubs and research organizations. And now you have the QR code for the report. If you want to access, use the link or scan the code. Visit the Vienna Business Agency right after the session at our booth. I will be, together with my colleagues, available for further information. And I wish you productive networking and discussions at ZeroCon. When you come to the booth, or just when you go out of this room, you can also get one of these teasers where you also have the QR code for the report to keep it in mind when you're reading books, for example. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.
Okay, thank you, Silvia. As we learned now, there is a quite active ecosystem in Vienna concerning social innovation, but also on inclusive technology and accessibility. And of course, this ecosystem can just live with organizations and also companies that somebody wanted to do the car code. Is it up? Okay, we're waiting for the slides for a moment. Here they are. Thank you. So the ecosystem consists of many different actors, not only organizations as we are, but also companies that actually develop new technologies and new products that come on the market and also solve real problems for people with disabilities or other impairments. So 3 of them we have on stage, which are Laura Wisiak from HopeTech, and Julia Kruselburger from Independo, and Georg Popp from TurnMotion. I want to invite first Laura to introduce herself and HopeTech. Each company or startup has 1 slide and about 2 minutes to present themselves. I won't be too strict on you, however, please keep it short.
Thank you very much. I'll do my best. So my name is Laura Wisiak. Could I get a quick show of hands if someone would like a visual description? If not, I will take the time. Cool, thank you very much, because I also do not think that my appearance is very relevant to what I do. Because at HopeTech we develop visual, assistive tech, mostly for people with visual disabilities. I hope you can see it at least on the screen. If not, also very fine. It looks mostly like headphones, and we've specialized in this kind of destigmatizing design because we got the feedback that our users want something that is just very unassuming and does not give away that we are disabled straight from the start, but something that allows you to, number one, and I have to quote from the beginning of the conference, Sinead, on this, that is stylish, because fashion means a lot to people in the self-expression term, but it is often completely disregarded in the terms of disability. So we often do not design, as she said, for dignity when we design for disability, which is why we settled on a very unassuming design that hopefully from at least the second row will pass for just normal big headphones, although that, thank you, I get a thumbs up, thank you very much. And while it's not worn on your ears, it is worn around your neck. That just rests there and doesn't obstruct your outfit. At least it doesn't for me, which might be the only relevant part of my appearance today. So yes, HopeTech, as we've already heard from Florian so graciously, is an international company. We've started in Kenya with our founder, Brian Mwenda, who has then expanded to the UK, where our current global headquarters is also centered. And then I run HopeTech Austria, where we have more of the software development side and the research and development part. So I do have the privilege of actually talking to people with disabilities and finding out what their real-life pain points are. How am I on time?
Some more seconds.
Oh my God, amazing.
A timer? No.
No, that is not a timer. But I see my rapping skills are going off fine. So sorry to the sign language interpreters. I know you hate me. So, anything more I can say? I actually do not think so. I will forfeit my time.
Thank you, Laura. Perfect. I think it's quite interesting because, as you said, you started, or HopeTech started in Kenya and also has another company in the UK, right? And you do much of the research here in Vienna. And we also supported, as Vienna Business Agency, HopeTech in the relocation process through the Vienna Startup Package, which is a program for international companies and startups to actually gain market entry support in Austria. If you're interested in that, please come later to the booth and let's talk about it. The deadline for the next batch is actually tomorrow, so you have enough time to apply still. But I'm happy to share more information on the call and the program afterwards. So next, Independo, Laura, would you give us your pitch in 2 minutes?
Yes, hello everyone, my name is Julia, I'm one of the co-founders of Independo. What do we do at Independo? At Independo we are developing software for alternative and augmentative communication. What does that mean? We are focusing on people that rather use symbols or audio to communicate than words or text. And everything we develop or design at Independo is developed in co-design, which means we work very closely with our target group. And this is why we also gained a lot of experience on co-designing with people with disabilities and also accessibility in the last years. And that's why we decided, and I think you cannot see the slides, but if you would see the slides, there were 3 pillars on it, right? Thank you. And that's why we decided to also do some consulting and workshops with other software companies, because as you all know, software companies are often not that familiar with disabilities and accessibility, and we want to change that and scale our impact by also doing consulting and workshops on co-design and accessibility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julia, not Laura. So, last but not least, on the Viennese startups is Georg from Turn Motion.
Thank you very much. Hey everybody, my name is Georg Popp,
And I'm a trained architect specializing in algorithms for structural design. But the reason why I founded the company Turn Motion is a very personal one. So when I was very little, I suffered from the polio virus that was triggered by a vaccine. So this means since I'm 1 year old, my left leg is fully paralyzed and my right foot is partially paralyzed, which means I cannot walk without an assistive device that's called orthosis, or you can also call it exoskeleton. And I decided to start this session with a little bit of my personal story. So when I was little, I grew up in a wheelchair for a couple of years in my early days because in Austria we did not find anyone who was an expert in that field really back in the days, and not anyone who could produce like these orthotic braces, especially tailored to my needs. So that's why we always had to go to Germany to having these devices produced. And the problem was that, you know, the body changes all the time, then the fitting process is super complicated, so I had to go there over and over again. I mean, the technology got better, but the fitting process, all these supply chain issues, they still remained the same. Then I was really facing an issue when I started to work in Vienna, that I had to go back to Germany again to get it fixed because it was just breaking every couple of weeks, and then needed to fix that, and I needed to spend all my holidays there, and it was just reducing my quality of living even though there would be a supply. So I thought, okay, why isn't there a technology that is fixing the problems? Why isn't there a technology on the market where you can just press 1 or 2 buttons and you get the optimized device delivered to you, or maybe just produced within 24 hours so you can test it, and when your body changes you just get a new one in a couple of hours. So because there was not any opportunity for me, I founded the company Turn Motion, where we get the patient data from the clinics, being measurements, 3D scans, motion data, any data we can process with our AI algorithm, and then that algorithm is analyzing the structural behavior in all of that parts, and based on this we know where to place material, we know how the device should look like, and then we can produce it automatically on our robotic machine to deliver this within 24 hours. So if I still have some seconds, I wanted to mention that during this process I found out that we don't only solve quality issues but also quantity issues. And I found out that I was actually always a very privileged person to even get any supply. So, because what I have on my left leg is 80,000 euros, and it was covered by the vaccination fund. But I found out that actually I'm probably the only person in Austria who has it, and abroad, I mean, it's not even possible to get any supply of that. So this is also what we can tackle with our production technology to really lower the cost, to make it accessible in other countries, and to make it also accessible in countries where they don't have the expertise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Georg. I think it's really important that you also drive this movement and this technology forward, because not only is it creating more value for the end users, but you as person who experienced it can actually be the best designer to implement this technology. So we're happy to have you here as well. And yeah, so there is of course also these and other companies need support or need the ecosystem around them. That is why I'm also happy to invite our 2 supporting organizations as well. So actually 3. So we have Klaus Heckner from Access Austria, Claudia Falkner from Better Mobility Accelerator and Point End. And also my colleague Lucy Hornauer will also talk more about how we support impact, or what are the services on impact side, so social and ecological impact and strategies for the city of Vienna. But first, Klaus, I give the word to you to talk more about Access Austria.
Thank you very much. I think I have to bring it nearer to me. Okay, yeah. First to make the link, it's not a coincidence that she sits next to me, because we are working with Sixth Sense since 2018, I think, or earlier. Yeah. And the very interesting thing is, when you see the device, it started with a glass. It was a glass first, yeah, and then they redesigned it in the co-creation process together with with the people with persons with disabilities, and that's a very cool thing. And they sit in our office, for example. Sixth Sense has an office in my place that we give to companies that want to come to Austria and to enter the European market. So what we try is to find people, or to find companies that want to enter the European market with a ready-to-go product. So it has to be a product that can be sold, and where the people convince us that this thing could be a rocket, let's say, yeah. Where we also see it, there is a possibility to sell it to our customers. We have a company selling these things. This is the company Videbis. Company Videbis is the biggest provider of assistive technologies for persons with visual impairments. But we are not only restricted to visual impairments. I'm also interested in all other innovations, but there I'm only the man in the middle. I want to bring other companies together on the market, for example. And we are not working only with the Austrian agency, the Vienna business agency. We also have connections to Africa, for example, where there is a big innovation hub, and to India, because we think, and this is the motto here of the Zero Project Conference, it's good to bring the people together to scale up or to scale down or to customize what is, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We saw so often that the wheel is reinvented. Since 2016 I have seen so many innovations, so-called innovations, every year from another company, and after 2 years they are dead. So please look over your shoulder, look out of your box, go out of your silo. First, look around. Is there another one to collaborate? And then search for a partner in the country or in the region where you want to go to, and we could be your partner if you want to go to Europe. Thank you.
Thank you, Klaus. I think we also have a very long history of collaboration, or at least my colleague Silvia and you have, but also our organizations.
That shows how old I am.
Well, so another organization that is very important in this field and also a collaboration partner of ours is Point End with Claudia Falkinger. Please, and you're the only one with 2 slides, so because you have actually 2 companies or 2 organizations that you represent more or less, right? So if you need the next slide, please tell me.
Absolutely. I brought a specific opportunity for you as well, so this is why the second slide. So, hi everybody, my name is Claudia Falkinger. I'm the co-founder and managing director of Point End. We are an international team of mobility, innovation and inclusion experts working on a European-wide level, but we're very happy being based and having our headquarters here in Vienna. Mobility and transportation accompanies us every day, no matter if we are on our ways to work, to school, to a conference like Zero Conference, or maybe on a holiday. So it's essential in our daily ways to be as independent as possible, no matter what background. So what we are doing is that with better mobility, we have built Europe-wide's leading innovation and program and community for innovative and inclusive mobility. So on the one side, we are publishing trend reports. I brought some copies of our Better Mobility Trend Report, where we analyze data of more than 300 innovations all over Europe, addressing a market of 450 million of Europeans. So if you would like some copies, please approach me afterwards. But we are also running different assessments together with mobility companies, no matter if rail, air, or startups and programs. So with our Better Mobility Accelerator, we have built a European-wide program supporting innovative companies like startups. Laura and HopeTech have also been part of it, together with bigger cities and regions to really spot new innovations and trends in that field and to push it forward for implementation and scaling. So currently we very much focus on the topic of tourism, mobility and tourism. So when you are going to a conference, holiday, or whatever kind of event. And now next slide, you might know that the Eurovision Song Contest is coming up in Vienna this year, which is the biggest music festival in the world, as well as Vienna Up, happening in May 2026. Oh my God, I wrote 25 on my slides. So this year in May, it's a great opportunity to also showcase inclusive mobility and transportation solutions around travel tech. So what we are doing is not only hosting exclusive stakeholder events, but also showcasing different inclusive travel tech opportunities. So if you have a solution who wants to be part around big events in Vienna in May, please approach me afterwards, because we would love to include you and showcase your solution wherever possible to a really big, open, creative community. And yes, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. Exactly. So also for everybody who is actually interested more into innovations and startup scene in Vienna and Austria, we are hosting Vienna Up, which is the startup festival between the 18th and the 22nd of May. And Claudia and her organization will also be part of it, next to about 50 program partners who contribute to the decentralized festival. Which is all about startups, innovation, investment, collaboration, and good networking, of course. So, as I mentioned also before, the Vienna Startup Package will also be part of that, but also we have a call for international startups to for travel grant of 500 euros to cover travel costs and also ticketing costs for Vienna Up. The ticketing is really decentralized, so you can. Each event has their own ticket, so there's not a golden pass or something that you can acquire. But anyway, this would be like the next big event in Vienna that we also curate together with many partners around us. More on that, and also how we approach impact technologies and this support for companies will now be presented by my colleague, Lucy.
Hi everyone, my name is Lucy. So as Florian said, I'm from the Vienna Business Agency, part of the Founders and Startup Department, and I'm responsible for impact entrepreneurship. And the Vienna Business Agency is Vienna's official investment promotion agency. So we strengthen and develop Vienna as a business location. And we also believe that inclusion fosters innovation and competitiveness. And therefore, we have several offers for impact-driven founders. So we help social enterprises at every stage, so from an initial idea to international growth. And for example, in their early stages, so for founders up to 5 years, we offer impact workshops and impact coachings where founders can transform their social value into sustainable business models. We also do finance projects in several categories, in R&D, in innovation, internationalization, digitalization, and 2 programs which are particularly relevant for social enterprises are the Tech for People funding program, which is a research and development funding program for technical solutions that create better quality of life. Coming to quality of life, there's also another funding program which has this name, and this is a program which backs projects and companies within the health sector, education, also inclusion and diversity. And a 3rd pillar that we have within our services is that we develop production and office spaces that are designed with accessibility in mind and also with long-term usability in mind. And we try to constantly develop them further, make them even better, because innovation needs physical access. And of course, we do support international startups that want to get to know the Viennese ecosystem, and therefore we also have a variety of services within our international department. And also a key platform for international startups, as Florian already mentioned, is the Vienna Up. So this is the festival that brings global innovators to Vienna. Thousands of them gather here in May. And we have formats like, for example, the Impact Days, where impact-driven founders can connect with investors and also with public organizations. So yeah, you can see there's a big range of services that we have for impact-driven founders, because we believe that a diverse economy is a strong economy. And yeah, if you want to test your social solution, if you want to scale, or if you want to just start, you can come talk to us at the booth later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. So this was all about Vienna and the organizations and companies who are active here. Next, we would like to get into a discussion and a conversation on how we actually work together and how do we do the innovative business here. So some things are already mentioned, like the startup package, the acceleration programs, but also consulting services, funding, etc. So would like to go deeper into that and also take a look from the outside. We have 2 international guest speakers also in the audience, international startups who are also awardees for the Zero conference, who can maybe challenge you a bit to get also a deeper insight and questioning on how to enter this ecosystem. Before I come to you, Dusha and Mike, I would like to make a first round and then talk with you about your perspectives. So as Lucy mentioned, there is also funding opportunities. And the first question would be to Julia. You got a funding from the Vienna Business Agency as well. How did that work, and how did that actually support you in your growing efforts?
Yes, so actually we had one in the past. It's called internationalization, I think that's the name. And now we have also an ongoing one, so quality of life. Lucy mentioned it. And the internationalization one really helped us because with the funding, we got the opportunity to reach new markets, so Germany and Switzerland in our case. And to mention the success, Germany is now our best market, so it really worked out that we got some funding to kind of approach those new target markets and also to do some pilot studies there, because you know accessibility is not the same in each and every country, and that's why it really helped us to reach new target markets, also to explore kind of fundings for our technologies themselves, and yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Austria is quite a small market, also Vienna is, thank you. And of course it is important to go outside and look outside of Vienna and Austria, but also to see the interlinkages and what is important actually, what can be developed here or deployed here, and what needs to be internationalized. In that case, Laura, why do you think Vienna is a good place for you actually? And I think you do more research here in Vienna, right? How does this relate also to your international activities?
This is a very interesting point because I've had the privilege of doing research both inside Vienna and also, since I am from a more rural area, also outside of Vienna, just not because of my job, but mostly because of my surroundings. And then also because of Hope Tech's international setup within London and Kenya. And in each region, it was very distinct. So people in Vienna, for example, had very different feedback. And once you look at the surrounding structures, so how the government support systems work, how the infrastructure is set up, it makes sense. But if you leave all of that out of context, you're just left wondering, okay, I have very, very different responses from participants who are roughly within the same demographic, given age, social upbringing, and so on and so forth. But once you put it all into an international context, it adds up. So within Vienna, one of the biggest, I don't want to say it hurdles, but let's be positive and call it opportunities, was that we have a pretty well-developed accessible infrastructure, which personally I am from here, so I have plenty to complain about, and so do other people with disabilities in Vienna. But maybe for many of you visiting, it might be the opposite, that you're flashed that, wow, Vienna is quite accessible, and we are known for that internationally. And this has the effect that once you discover a benefit for someone within Vienna, that scales outside of Vienna as well. So I'm talking about the rural areas, of course, which have not that much infrastructure built already, but also different cities. So if you compare Vienna to London, you will have a vastly different experience. And I've also had people who talked about Vienna being a bit behind compared to London. So some people really like London when it comes to accessibility. Overall, I find it very different just looking at how are the support systems. For example, we have heard about this also, I'm sorry, I'm quoting Sinead again. She talked about in the opening speech about there being no international definition of disability. We have a very dependent definition depending on where you live and also where you work, and that also limits your opportunities to work. When we scale different companies, be it assistive tech or just any type of service provided to persons with disabilities, we have to consider the surrounding systems, which we often don't. So, for example, the German market will be something different. The Austrian system works wildly different compared to Kenya or even the UK. And I think understanding those also helps you not only settle, but actually reach your target demographic in the most efficient way. And also, beyond just reaching them, service them in the best possible way for them. Because innovation is always something that is determined by the end user. Like, it is something that the market decides on. Is something innovative, or is it actually, as Klaus said, something that goes out of business after 2 years, to put it lightly? Honestly, I will be a bit critical. We throw around the term innovation quite a lot these days. So I think it's very important to look at what the actual users are saying and if they consider it as valuable or just as one other passing phase.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's really important to, firstly look at where are the best conditions for what you actually do, and also, keep always the user in mind. So also, Georg, how you're also in the development phase so far, until now, and you will go on the market in half a year or so. You told me. What's your plan to actually access these users or target the users in Austria maybe and also internationally?
Very good question. Thank you. So we are a B2B business with software-hardware combination, and that's very complex. Also very complex to get it to the market, but it's one of the most sustainable businesses you can make, and it's also the most defensible. And so for these kind of businesses, it's most important that the founding team are doing the sales in the beginning, so for the first 2 years. So it will be me going to the biggest clinics, it will be me going to all these global manufacturers we want to work with, and it will be me showcasing our product on myself. And also we start with a couple of pro bands in a few months to really prove the concept for these manufacturers. And so we go both ways. Firstly, we want to go into global networks, into global distributors. And secondly, to be more independent, we approach the little ones and like the middle-sized ones. So we will approach clinics from a size of 2 to 15 entities because they lack of streamlined manufacturing or like a streamlined production. But they have also limited capacities because of the increase of the patients. So that's where we fit in pretty well.
Perfect, thank you. So, getting another perspective, maybe Claudia, you're also active in some on the policy level, and so with Point N, Community Creates Mobility, and also in the startup scene, you're quite active. So, what's your point of view? How can you actually, as your organization, contribute to the development of these companies, these startups, exactly also in this phase maybe? So there is a prototype and now they want to go to market. How do you work there?
So what are the biggest needs that we see currently or in the work we do is first, as said, piloting or implementation, not only for validation, but also getting into the market. And what do you need for this is great partners, no matter if it's on city level or corporates level. So making the right connections is really important. And we try this via different formats, but also getting investment and funding. And what we see here, where Vienna and Austria is very strong, is also getting, for example, co-funding for implementation and so on. So it's also important for cities or regions as well as corporates saying, hey, we want to do this together, and we kind of get support for this to pushing innovation forward, de-risking in an early stage. So I think this is very important. Even if Austria is not the biggest market, it's a great market for testing, creating a lot of information, focus on various use cases, and then scale to other markets. So I think this is where Vienna is very strong, and where the current need is to fasten up. Like we really have to move faster to get those innovations in the market and show that this is a competitive advantage to regions as well as cities. So I think this is the main thing, the right connections and then the right resources and money to get forward.
Mm-hmm. Could you, also a question to Klaus, following up, could you name concrete examples of stakeholder engagement where you facilitate, or where you saw a facilitation of innovation in accessibility?
Yeah, our core field is the field of person with visual impairments. Okay, yeah. So when a company comes to us, for example, and they want to have the direct access to the target group, then we can give them an access to a target group of about 14,000 people in Austria with visual impairment or legally blind persons. You have to consider that we have about 9,000 to 12,000 legally blind persons in Austria. In our organization, we have about 5,200 members with legally blind members. And in the for-profit branch, we have 14,000 customers. So we can give you access, and as said before, from both sides. Austria is a small market, but there is one thing: we are in the European Union. So if you can verify your idea here in Austria and can test it here in Austria and can prove that your idea is worth selling or sells good, for example, then we can help you. You are in the European market then, and that means 27 countries. And don't forget, we always speak about the economic strength of the United States of America. We have more customers than America. We have 460 million people here, and we are surrounded by other countries with persons with disabilities. And don't forget one fact: we are in Europe. Europe is shrinking. Europe is getting older. I'm always, and I have to say it here too. I always say when I'm presenting, there is an American president who said it's economy stupid. I wouldn't say economy. It's demography stupid. It's demography stupid. We have here in Austria in 2030, we will have more than 30% of the population being older than 65. And you have it in the whole so-called Western Hemisphere. Population is shrinking. Look at Japan, for example. Japan had 120 millions 30 years ago. Now we are 85. We have 85 millions. And there's a rapidly growing need for assistive technologies for persons with disabilities, even if the people do not want to be named disabled. They want to say, I'm old, but I'm not disabled. But where is the difference? Really, where's the difference? So concrete things. The best access to the market I have in this field of visual impairment, but nevertheless, if you come to us with a wheelchair solution or whatever, then we also can bring you to organizations or companies that are working in this field, because we know them, because we are nested into this ecosystem of companies or organizations for persons with disabilities in Austria and also in Europe.
Well, thank you. I think, Claudia, you want to add on that, right?
I wanted to add to Klaus' remarks. So I think as Austria and Vienna is in the middle of, or in the center of Europe, it's also great connected. We are a very good trusted partner. So I think this is also important in times like these. And if you can kind of make it in the most livable, or one of the most livable cities worldwide, this also gives you a lot of credibility for your service to also get into other markets. And Laura, you mentioned like Viennese people love to complain. So we always know where there's still room for improvement. So I always like to say, using this energy and direct it to solutions and even make it better. So I think this is also the fuel for innovation in Vienna, to kind of complain about everything, but then you know where is still potential for new innovation and growth.
One sentence, Don't look at the problem, look at the solution. And when I talk to the people, when somebody is comes to me and presents me something and a product or whatever, or an idea, then I always have this in my back. Look at the solution, not at the problem. There's so many people complaining about, this doesn't work, but there are so many things that are working.
Yeah, we have a very good negativity bias, but we are also very good at finding solutions for that negativity. So now I would like to invite also our guest speakers. Can we have the slide once again, please? Trushya Musham from Taptic app from the US, and also Mike Hazelwood from Sense Pilot from Lithuania. I would kindly ask you to introduce yourselves and also how you bring value to your customers, and maybe you can share your first insight, or not insight, your perception, how you perceive this discussion on how actually innovation is fostered in Vienna and Austria.
Yeah, my name is Drusha Musham, Taptic founder. Taptic is a mobile app that listens to sounds and sends users a vibration, flash, and notification on their phone. It's like, hey, your baby's crying, fire alarm, fire truck. So a range of sounds, not just emergency, a range of alerts, not just notification, but also two-way communication. So you can send a text on a phone, and it shows it flip side, speaks it out loud. When the other person's talking, like a hearing person, deaf person receives live transcription. So two-way spatial awareness, conversational awareness. But super interesting conversation about Vienna. This is my first international conference, always looking to expand to new markets. We're based in America. All of our users are in America. And when it comes to Vienna, I'm hearing, like, at least from the American perspective, like, funding isn't the best in our government right now, transparently. So we're looking for other sources. Standardization in accessibility, the laws, ADA laws, aren't the same everywhere. There's different regulations for buildings. So with Europe, comparatively, how do apps scale? And what are, like, funding things that we can look for here? What are standardization, government relationships from America? Like, what's that extra thing that helps apps specifically in Vienna?
Anybody who wants to take that? How digital innovations are if there are standards?
I can take on that because we are doing apps, so maybe what really helps us in Vienna is that there is a great ecosystem of networking partners, but also associations you could collaborate with. So, for example, we are part of multiple associations, Fachverband Österreichische Softwareinnovation, Association of Austrian Software Innovation. It's really cool, so you can meet with others and they will help you find a solution if you have a problem. But also there is great co-working spaces, great associations for founders themselves that could really help you to find funding or give you some insights into how they got some funding, but also in how you can, like, target or approach your new market, so things like that. So I think one really cool thing about Vienna is that there are so many special networks and so many people willing to help you and to connect. And that could also help you if you're trying to approach Vienna as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when it comes to apps, I notice a bottleneck in different regions of the world. Like, sometimes affordability for the subscription or device itself. Sometimes education, just knowing it exists. Partnerships with the government. So when it comes to Vienna, what is, on the flip side, like, what's something that's a challenge with scalability?
What is the concrete question from your side now? What do you want to really know? I really do not understand what is the question then.
Yeah, so in America we have idea, come up with some business, customer research, let's try partnerships with governments, let's try partnership with organization, receive funding. Usually there's bottlenecks in different countries for different parts of, like, how to grow next. So in Vienna, what's that one, like, thing that you're trying to develop with scaling that can help us get connected faster?
Maybe there is, so it's going a bit to the discussion before on the market size, because there are up to, like, 9 million users or people in Austria, and, like, in Europe every country has their own regulations and so on. So there are regulatory bottlenecks. However, especially with applications, at least in my perspective, it's often that people just use what they are used to and don't really, not many people are open to like test out new things. So that might be one obstacle. But this is also slowly changing because there is a different openness and culture on that. What we also see is that there is a bit of lacking of investment. This is also due to different circumstances. So during COVID, there was a very high investment rate in also applications or digital software. This decreased in the last years. However, it's a bit changing in not funding everything, yeah, but to really look at what brings real value to customers, and then the chances are higher that you also get more investments. But there is much work done also at the policy side. Maybe you want to add on that?
I could add on the scaling part. So scaling-wise, I think you can get a good network on multipliers. So looking for people like Klaus or so on, like organizations that already have access to the users you need. So it's kind of looking for those umbrella organizations that help you, that already have a direct contact to people you want to reach. Scaling could also be pushing forward on implementation, pilots, so getting co-funding, where Vienna, as Florian mentioned, might not be the best if you're looking for scaling investments. As I'm also part of the Startup Council of the Ministry of Economics, we're currently trying to push forward a Dachfonds, fund of funds model. So this should be implemented by 2027. So this will also be helpful for a scaling perspective when it comes to investment money on a public-private partnership.
Yeah. The problem is the investment is like in other regions of the world, but I think if you compare it now to the situation in the United States of America, you get fundings here for the which you won't get in America for the next few years, for example. Yeah? And the next thing is I would add some things to your words, because we have a regulation which is common for 27 European countries. That's the European Accessibility Act when it comes to the digital world, and this regulation is really different to the way how Americans or how other countries are looking at disability or accessibility, because the other, for example, is addressing the person with disability. We are addressing the economic situation with the economic side. We are addressing the companies, yeah, because we say if you want to access the market in Austria, if you want to access the market in the European Union, then you have to follow the rules, and we assume that you follow the rules. And if you don't follow the rules, you have to you get sued, and if you don't follow the rules after getting sued, we put you out of the market, and you're not allowed to sell anymore here in the European Union. And that's a really different thing than in America, for example, where you sue because you don't get any access, and then you get the money. Okay, yeah, but that doesn't automatically mean that the barrier has to be removed. And yeah, I would hope if we have some fundings, for example, from whatever private investors, but that's the same all over the world. You have to. There are no direct. I think there are no direct. Well, I don't know them. Yeah, there are no direct fundings, only for companies working for disability. So you have to find a way to sell it to the broader public, and to make it accessible also to the non-disabled person, like it is with the smartphone.
Yeah, exactly. So also to mention another dimension is that there is, like Vienna and Austria is a very good test bed. So as Claudia mentioned, you can test it, and throughout the EU then also scale. Also within the German-speaking area, so Austria, Switzerland, and Germany, there are good opportunities if you start here, because there is good research and university network, and also there are many, the innovation and supporting network is very, very close. So everybody knows each other, and you can get direct support also very easily, or not very easily, but once you get access, you have follow-ups every now and then. So yeah, thank you, Drusia, as well. Mike, please, who are you and what is Sense Pilot?
Yeah, certainly. So I'm Mike from Sense Pilot. So just to clarify quickly, the company is based in Lithuania, despite my accent. I live in the United Kingdom, but we elected to kind of begin the company there because it's part of the EU member states. So what we do is we're an early stage software company that turns standard webcams into tools for computer access, gaming, and also kind of AAC access for people who have limited dexterity. So we pick up head movements and facial gestures. So it's a software-only solution. It's an access solution. It's actually really amazing to hear about the level of cohesion within the Austrian ecosystem. Certainly, having looked into different countries, and I guess it's the way funding happens for the individual, the differences in the models that Klaus talked on of looking at disability, actually means it's quite complex when moving to a new territory. So it's amazing to hear that there is already a good ecosystem and connecting. I guess one of the things to kind of question is you know, Yuli, you've looked like an AAC system, so that's something that's very unique, very personal to the individual, and funding changes very dramatically and is very complex. How have you kind of found that within Austria compared to other territories?
So this is also one reason why Germany is a bigger market for us than Austria, or a better market, because AAC is not that niche in Germany anymore. So for example, this year or last year, I think in November, there's a big alliance on AAC in Leipzig, so the AAC Congress. And this is amazing because there all people working on AAC actually come together from different European countries. And this makes it quite easy to get in touch with resellers in this area, but also with other multipliers. For example, you always have like AAC consultants or clinics consulting people on what AAC device might be the best for them. And there's a lot more we can do in Austria in this niche area of AAC, and there's a lot also we can learn from Germany in this niche area. And if you want to take a deeper look, I totally recommend you to go to Germany and also Switzerland, because they work quite similar also from the funding process for individuals.
Thank you. No, that's quite an interesting thing, like, especially because it is a niche within assistive technology as well. So yeah, certainly there's quite a lot of different niches, and it's trying to connect up all the dots to you know, as Klaus was saying, to survive beyond 2 years. And kind of ensure that there's funding pathways as well.
And also, once those dots are connected, it's not that niche anymore, because at that Congress, I experienced for the first time how many people are working on AAC, and there are so many, they just need to come together and collaborate more closely.
Yeah, I think that in every niche there are some, you need to find the right events and also the festivals or whatever that really give you access and also show what's going on within an area or within an industry. At this point, I would like to mention that as we already presented, there is Vienna Up also happening in May, which has diverse topics, and also impact and inclusion is one of them, where people all around the world, but also, so especially founders, startups, investors, etc., are there to really engage with each other and gain the first insight into Vienna's market and also ecosystem when it comes to very diverse industries as well. At this point, I would like to open also the discussion to the audience. Are there any questions so far? If there are no questions, I have prepared some. So, yeah, there's always somebody who needs to do the first step and ask a question, right? So that others will follow. However, also from the international perspective again, what do you think for your company and your industries or your niche markets? What do you think would be critical factors actually that you get involved in the Viennese or Austrian ecosystem and market?
I mean, it's certainly something interesting for us. It's just kind of the support to get into those areas. For us, where we're trying to reach rehabilitation engineers, occupational therapists, or kind of physiotherapists, and a lot of what we're doing as a new assistive technology is education. That's quite a slow method of getting to market. Like, what support methodologies are in place to kind of help with those? I mean, obviously there's a very strong network and a good connection, but how do you kind of help to accelerate those sorts of things? Or computer access, or kind of just device access and things like that, those sorts of pathways.
You want to know from me the pathways, how to connect to the people, or to get access to the target markets or whatever, yeah.
It's just kind of saying, just because like a new assistive technologies to the market, a lot of education is needed across a new network essentially. So kind of how can you support those? It's obviously funding and those sorts of things, as well as events.
The question is always about money, but money is not money is necessary, yeah. But I think it's. Let me turn around a little bit and say, okay. We talked about the Austrian market, and the Austrian market is a small market. Yeah, okay, you never will succeed in the Austrian market by having the break-even point, because you won't sell enough of the things of your apps or whatever, of the licenses that you are, let's say, one of these. Wie heißen diese Milliarden? Unicorns, unicorns, unicorn. Okay, yeah, but it's a good test market. Yeah, you can validate the product here, and then you can go to Germany, you can go to Switzerland, and then you have to change the language, because you have to. If you go to Spanish, to Spain, or to whatever, to France or Poland, German is not the right one, and even in English is not a success criteria when you go to Germany, because there are many Germans that don't want to speak English. So, for example, we had to change our certification criteria for IAAP to German, because there are so many people demanded it. Yeah, but that's another thing. Yeah. But how can we support you? We can support you in bringing you together with agencies like the Viennese Business Agency or whatever, or with other networks from Claudia. And there is not a very outstanding and unique point working in Vienna. Perhaps the unique point is that we all know each other, because we are a small market. We know who acts in which niche or in which area, yeah, and we support each other. We don't cannibalize, and perhaps that's one of the things. And I think it's also kind of Austrian background. I heard a speech from Christopher Waltz. You know him, yeah, from America. He's an Austrian actor living in America, and he says that Germans are very harsh. Normally, they say what they mean, yeah, and if there is something which is wrong, then they tell it. And the Austrians are quite polite, yeah, but they don't mean what they say. So it's always a little bit more smooth, yeah? And perhaps this is one of the reasons why Austria is a good start market, I would say.
Maybe I can add a little bit to that, because when I started my startup, I didn't know anything about a startup. You know, I was just like, okay, I want to do that, and I stayed just at home and, you know, tried to figure it out. But then once I got out from my home, went to a co-working space, at least I had some contacts I could talk to. But then, you know, I started going to incubators. So there was the EICT summer school led by Hermann Hauser, who implemented like the Silicon Valley of Europe in Cambridge. He's Austrian. There's still some summer schools there in Innsbruck. Then I joined the INNITS incubation networks in Vienna, and through all these incubations, you know, I got then all the contacts to move forward with. Then we started approaching funding agencies. So there's the FFG, research funding agency, there is the Vienna Business Agency, then there is AWS. I'm not translating this in English because it's AWS and it's a different thing. So we got also funding from them for the commercialization, like for all these market relevant money we needed. And so, you know, when you approach these agencies step by step, I think you will find your path. I'm not so much into the fields of applications, but we have one investor from a company called Square. They built up a super successful software and application startup. So now there are about 100 people in Munich and in Vienna, and they have this huge event called CodeCraft in Vienna. So maybe you can go there and do some networking, but yeah, those are the things that I just had in mind. And I think to start a company, Vienna is the place to be. So for us, it was ideal, you know. So going from nothing to a company with 12 people and starting with a niche product, that's always very good if you start with a niche product and have your base there. And now we plan to, so now we already have ideas to do like dual use with these technologies to then even scale further. And you need to have this scale factor then, because then you need some investment monies and VC monies. But the good thing is if you start with grants and non-dilutive grants, you have much better position for funding negotiations. So you're much more investable. So that's why Vienna is a really good place to start, because you're more investable than I think you would already start with an investor having on board. Yeah.
I have one more opinion to add, because as Florian said before, we have some users who are very, very opposed to the digitalization. And I think in the context of scaling, it's also very important to think about user adoption rate. And with that, I have noticed that within Vienna, people are skeptical, but for a reason. They have seen so many innovations or so-called innovations come and go without really added value for the communities that they are representing. So even if you have the best network of multipliers, which we have here with the facilitators, you still need to convince that the community representatives you're talking to that this is actually something that benefits the community and that it's not something that, I've heard the word before, disability dongle, I love the word. I'm not sure if it's now universally adopted. Is it? Great, amazing. So the real challenge, in my opinion, in user adoption is to actually convince the stakeholders in the community that this is beneficial for the community and that you have the best interest of the community in mind, not your own, not any financial interest, but really that you are working for the community and with them. because yes, finances are important, having a network is important, but at the end of the day, my background is in user research. We have to reach the users and we have to serve the users. And if we cannot convince the people who are representing the communities that we are trying to do something with them and for them, then it's, yeah, wasted love in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe you could say it's not all about money, but it's not also not about all charity. So it's somewhere in between, and this might be true for especially the German-speaking area, but also kind of broader Europe. That trust is very important. So you need to be trusted, and you need to have some door openers actually, and I'm happy that you mentioned inits also, Georg. So incubation programs, co-working spaces, and also people that guide you and help you with the first steps, they are your credibility partners in the end. So if you also get into the network, then you can also gain credibility and also gain more and more access to more services, but also more users and visibility, which is and there is the advantage that the network is quite close and very condensed, so that innovations are handed to each other, let's say, in certain fields. So I'd say this is one of our very much advantages, and also what Vienna sets aside a bit. Despite being small, it's very innovative, very broad, also in industries, and can support you throughout all your initial and growing steps. But at some point, of course, you need to gain this kind of momentum to sustain yourself and sustain the company. There is one question from the audience, please.
Hi there. I'd like to know if you have any idea where to find the perfect match in a CTO in the technical partner for starting a business in Vienna. Someone who's not just doing vibe coding, but really, starting it and following it through.
Could you repeat? I think we didn't really understand
Really?
the question.
Oh,
yeah.
sorry. Now you can hear me better. I was wanting to ask you where to find in Vienna the perfect match for a co-founder, a technical co-founder who can really do, the groundwork, the programming and all that stuff. Where are the networks to find them, or how did you meet yours?
I mean, I can tell you the story how I met mine. I'm not sure if this is very applicable to many others, because mine had an own exhibition at the Museum of Applied Arts in Vienna, at the Mag Museum. So he was showing his reinforcement learning algorithms, where it was supposed to be like a structural algorithm that stacks different construction elements automatically to be a really like a structural optimized structure. It can be a building or whatever, that it's optimized towards certain loads. But what he showcased was he was 3D scanning potato chips, and potato chips are always different to any other potato chips. And then the AI told him how to combine these potato chips in the best optimal way. And when I saw this, I was like, okay, it's double curved surfaces that are always individual. It can be orthotics, it can be anything that's attached to the body. So, he 3D scanned that, and then the AI is just telling you, how to put them together or how it can be manufactured. And then I approached him, and he said just yes. The problem was it took us 2 years to get him from London to Austria. So that was the bottleneck. Yeah. But yeah, that's my story to that.
So where you don't only find potato chips, but also a co-founder in that field, might be various event formats, especially from Austrian startups. So there are monthly Stammtische, like meetups, but they're also dedicated Find Your Co-Founder sessions, also not only hosted by Austrian startups, but also by media companies like Brutkasten and so on. So if you follow the main channels, no matter if it's a newsletter, LinkedIn, wherever you are active online. I think this also helps you to catch up on those, or on the Austrian startups website are also, I think, an event list where not only on the finding a co-founder dedicated sessions, but also just, you know, dedicated, I don't know, techie meetups in your field, or where you just can mingle or get to know people, and also use the snowball effect, like, hey, do you know someone who has these, I don't know, mentality, expertise, skills, whatever. And they are also at various universities, like the Technical University of Vienna has various events or formats, accelerators, whatever. So I think this is also a great touch point for you.
Yes, and also look
Last word,
for
please.
like clubs or like federations. Like my second co-founder I found at the Federation of 3D Printing Austria, and it was like a little club where they met up every Wednesday, like in the evening. And I just went there, I got a club member, and then I was talking about my vision, and then that's where I found more people. So there are these kind of niche nerd events where you always find these people who are super enthusiastic about it, and I think that's also a very good source.
All right. Thank you all. The timer tells me that the time is over. To wrap it up very shortly, how we do innovation in Vienna and how do we support that? It's from really the first beginning, from networks to meeting random people at events, and from actually getting an idea, founding it, to scaling. There is a lot of support, not only through the Vienna Business Agency and also the other organizations. There are many more actually. It's just a small glimpse of how we do that and who is there. Again, we want to invite you to the networking at the booth downstairs. It's the booth is next to the entrance in front of the matchmaking area. Thank you very much to all panelists. Thank you very much to the international startups. You also will be part of the networking and booth actually in the afternoon. So let's talk Vienna, let's talk business, and yeah, see you downstairs. Thank you.